Lean on us.
We are here for you.
You matter.
You are not alone.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? Not sure where to turn? The National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there for you 24/7. Call or text 988 or chat at 988sc.org. Whether you're having an emergency or you know someone who needs support now, they can help you take the next step towards finding hope and healing.
There is hope. 988sc.org.
Can you have zero interest in something and still really want it? Your wallet would say yes. And with Simply Zero from South Carolina Federal Credit Union, you can transfer credit card balances and get 0% intro APR for 12 months. That's right, no interest all year. So you pay less and keep more. To learn more, visit scfederal.org/simplyzero. That's scfederal.org/simplyzero. Variable APR ranges from 11.74% to 17.99% thereafter. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Thank you very much for coming on to That Will Never Work podcast. I have a special guest today. He is on a mission to make the world happier, one smile at a time. You know, we will forward you all his information to go to his website to purchase his book, things like that. And we're going to talk about maybe strategies on how to make every day the best day ever. And even get into a little history about, you know, how his wife encouraged him to write this book, or, you know, whatever it might be. So, but we're going to get right into this right now. My guest today is Mr. Scott White. How are you, Scott?
Fabulous. How are you?
I'm good. So, you know, your tagline, your idea, right, is, you know, the life is, first of all, your nickname is the life is too short guy, right? You know,
That's
so
right.
how did that even come about?
So I started working with an executive coach about 2 years ago. So, you know, sort of during COVID, and first time I met him, he interviews me and I answer a bunch of questions. I fill out some surveys. The second time we meet, his name is Kevin. We get on a call like this, and this is exactly what he said to me. He's like, dude, you are a Mr. Life is Too Short guy. Everything's rah-rah. Get it done today. Live in the moment. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I never really thought of it that way. And then I mentioned that to my wife that night, and she's like, maybe that's the book you always wanted to write. I'm like, I don't know what that book would be about. And she's like, you know, maybe it's your philosophy. It's who you are. It's what you're about. It's how you live. And that's what germinated it about. It started about 2 years ago. I played with it a little bit in 2021, but really committed to it in 2022. So I wrote throughout 2022, and the book came out earlier this year. It's called The Life is Too Short Guy, and it's all about living in the moment.
So how would you encourage someone to live in the moment, especially since it feels like in society today, every moment seems so hard and rough and things like that. And sometimes it seems like it might be a little difficult to keep a smile on your face, right? You know, because you want to cry most of the time. So, you know, what strategies could people implement today to put that smile on?
So I'll give you a couple of them. There are 10 principles, and the book is written very specifically and deliberately to be easily applicable. So I went out of my way when writing this book to make sure it wasn't an academic book. So this isn't something you start reading and you're like, oh, so according to this study, according to that, and
Right.
blah, 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 blah. That's not it. It's also not a business book. So I am active in the business world. I'm the chairman and CEO of a public company, but I didn't want to write this as a business book. This is a day-to-day blocking and tackling, living in the moment. All right. So now Maurice is like, all right, well, talk to me. What's in the book? Give me some principles. Give me some strategies. So the most important principle, the underlying principle, is attitude is everything, the power of positivity. And there I talk about how much you can control and how much your attitude changes your perspective and changes the world around you. So if I were to say to you, Maurice, brand new car, brand new house, brand new relationship, you won the lottery, right? Four amazing things. Or I were to say sickness, death, divorce. What percent of your overall happiness do you think long-term is tied to things like that? Give me a percent.
To either side or pick a
just
side?
in general. So you got a pie, 100% of your happiness.
Right.
What percent is tied to external factors, good or bad. So not weighing them against each other, but the new car, how much is that going to impact your long-term happiness? The death of somebody, how long is that going to impact your long-term happiness?
I would say, given just those two examples, I would say probably death, because most people, they kind of stay in that space a little longer than they would with a new car.
Right, understood. But I'm saying over your lifetime, long term. I'm not talking about this week, this month, this year. Right. What percent of your overall happiness do you think is tied to external factors?
I would say almost 90% will be external, because a lot of people don't look internal, especially me, sometimes.
But that's the point. You hit it hard, and I love it. You're wrong. And that's what's great about it. I'm happy to tell you you're wrong, because that's what a lot of people think. Right. They think that new car is going to make me happy. They think that new job is going to make me happy. Right. They think getting out of a relationship is going to make me forever sad. The reality is, and this blows people's mind, is 50% of your long-term happiness is tied to your genetic makeup. It's very hard to change, okay? Right. So now you got another 50%. Of that other 50%, 10% of your long-term happiness is tied to the world around you. 40% is right here. It's between your eyes, your ears, above your nose. It's your brain. It's the way you view the world. And that's the underlying theme of attitude is everything, the power of positivity. I then take that to the second principle, Maurice, where I say, choose your attitude and own it. All right, what do I mean by that? What I mean is you have the ability to proactively choose how you're going to approach situations. If I were to say to you, what was your first thought when you woke up this morning? You open your eyes, what was the first thing that popped in your head?
Wow, the sun is bright, to be honest.
Okay. So that's great that you remember, because you'd be amazed how many people I ask and they're like, probably I was going to go make some coffee, or I had to go to the bathroom, right? So that's what most people say. And I call that, and I actually always do this, I call that sort of blurry glasses. You put on your glasses and you're like, it's another day, and I think, what do I want for breakfast? Or maybe I should go make some coffee. Unfortunately, a lot of people also put on what I call muddy glasses. They wake up and it's cold, it's dark, I have a million things to do, I'm tired, I don't want to get out of bed. Why not reach over and grab what I call the crystal clear glasses and put on and wake up in the morning? When I woke up this morning, the first thought that came to my mind is, wow, I have an amazing day ahead of me. It's the middle of the week. I have a number of days to go. I am in bed next to someone I love. I have the opportunity to talk to Maurice and the people on his show today. I have the opportunity to meet somebody for lunch. I have the opportunity to get up and go make myself a wonderful breakfast. By the way, I'm now 10 seconds into the day. I force myself every day when I start my day as a launching point to set a map for the day. I understand that may not control everything that happens that day. Right. The next logical question is, that's great, you step out of bed and break your ankle, right? I understand that could happen. Right. But why not set the tone right? Choose your attitude and own it. That's the second principle. The third principle, and I'm gonna stop after this one and pause, and we can take it any way you want. Third principle is one of my favorites, in that it's little things make a big difference. Little things make a big difference. So then the next logical question is, talk to me. What do you mean by little things make a big difference? What I mean is it takes so little to live a happier life. What are some of the tools here? Real simple, real practical. Smile.
And yes.
Right?
Because that changes everything.
I let that float for a minute. You're like, yeah, of course. Right. But how often do people think about that? How often do you wake up and you smile? You get in the shower, you smile. You go down and have breakfast, you smile. You get in your car, you smile. You get to work, you smile. You talk to your boss, you smile. Like, go out of your way to force smiles. So what it does is it creates brain chemicals that make you happier. And by the way, there's a ripple effect. It makes the world around you happier. Smile more often. Celebrate. Another small tool. Little things make a big difference. Celebrate every day. Find things to celebrate. Find reasons to celebrate. Don't let a day go by without celebrating something. Random acts of kindness, another small tool to create happiness. When was the last time you performed a random act of kindness? When was the last time that you were the recipient of a random act of kindness? A study done last year, and I do talk about a number of studies in the book, though not a lot, demonstrated that the recipients of a random act of kindness appreciate that act substantially more than the person doing it believed they would. Wow, think about how powerful that is.
Yeah, right.
So there's 3 or 4 tools within the little things make a big difference. So attitude is everything. choose your attitude and own it. And little things make a big difference. The first three principles in the book, there are 10 principles in total. I can go as long as you want on the principles, but I'll pause there and see what you got for me.
So one of the things that I would like to say, when you think about the random acts of kindness, if you will, a lot of people kind of stick to a schedule, right? And we don't realize sometimes that schedule can be a hindrance, because we're trying to stay so close to this schedule, right? And they feel as though that schedule is attached to their happiness because I'm able to achieve X, Y, and Z. And sometimes those getting off a schedule is what brings happiness. And I think that's one of your points of just being random, of being sporadic, because everything can't be based on time, not 100% of the time.
You can't plan everything. You have to be somewhat sporadic. And it's funny you bring that up. It's almost as if you're leading me right to the fourth principle. So I appreciate that. The fourth principle actually is minutes matter. All right. So what do I mean by minutes matter? When I talk about minutes matter, I try to encourage people to think about how they're using their minutes. To your point, we try to plan, we try to fit in as much as possible. Maybe that's not the best use of your minutes. I think too often we take our minutes for granted. I encourage people to be thoughtful, deliberate, and proactive in how they use their minutes. You choose how you use your minutes. I don't make judgments on you should use more minutes with your family and fewer at work. You should use more minutes reading and fewer watching TV. No, that's not up to me.
Right.
That's up to each listener. What I say is make sure you know how you're using your minutes. And the symbol, the analogy or metaphor that I give people is to think about a barrel. So I want your listeners, as they're thinking about this, and if they're driving, please don't do this. But if you're not driving, close your eyes and think about a barrel. To me, it's a wine barrel, but you can think about whatever barrel you want. And in that barrel, for me, are little gold coins. And I choose gold coins specifically because they're valuable. They're precious. They're finite. In that barrel is my remaining minutes in life. Here are 2 points that I want you to think about. One, I have no idea how many gold coins are in there. I have no idea how many minutes I have left.
Right.
So every time I do something, including right now talking to you, I think about reaching into my barrel, grabbing out a coin and saying, I'm using this to talk to Maurice and his audience. This is how I'm using my minutes.
Right.
Second point that I want people to really think about, which is even more compelling, is we all have leaks in our barrel. Right? So those little coins are trickling out the bottom. Some have bigger leaks, some have smaller leaks. Know how you're using your minutes. Be thoughtful, be deliberate, use your minutes to do what you love, to spend time with people you love, to be sporadic, as you said. Maybe you don't plan every minute. In fact, maybe you say, you know what? For the next hour, I'm doing nothing. And that's fine. But be thoughtful about it. Don't just sort of sit there and be like, all right, here's the list. Here's the next thing I got to do. Here's how I'm using my minutes. A lot of times the day goes by the way, how often have you gotten to the end of a day, a week, a month, a year, and you're like, I don't know what the hell I did.
Right.
I've been running as fast as I can. I've been on the proverbial treadmill, and I don't know what I did. That's what we got to stop. As a society, we have to make use of every minute. Fourth principle, minutes matter. So there are a lot of happiness philosophies out there, right? So with this, we're going to LITSG, acronym, right? What makes it unique versus any other philosophy that you might hear out there on the internet? Yeah, so the most unique element of LITSEG is the practical nature of it. So I have seen a lot of happiness formulas, a lot of happiness philosophies that it's hard for me to relate to. And I think it's hard for when you're driving in your car, you're not happy with where you are in life, you're not happy with your relationship, you're not happy with whatever the case may be. You hear a philosophy, an academic study, so on and so forth, and you're like, what does that have to do with me? Like, that's great for the ivory tower. That's great for... So my point is what I'm trying to portray, and I really tried hard to do this, is we could all do this. Like, think about what I said, Maurice. I said, smile.
Right.
Smile. This isn't some higher level. In fact, you could be critical and say, Scott, what kind of philosophy is this? But that's the point. The power of this is it's so easy. As you're listening to this, as your listener listening to this, I hope they smile right now. In fact, I'm going to pause. Ready? Smile.
Because it's infectious, too.
It's infectious. You feel better. It's not that hard. You don't have to transform your life, right? It's not well, here's who I am today, and I'm going to go through all these steps and be somebody new tomorrow. No, we don't do that. Instead, smile a little more. Instead, whistle a little more. Instead, celebrate a little bit more. Instead, think about how you're using your minutes. The next thing I talk about, the fifth principle, is funny things are everywhere. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at the world around you. Find humor. Don't take things too seriously. In the book, I actually tell some stories that people will say, I'm not that funny, or the circumstances aren't appropriate for being funny. Well, you know what? I was funny at my dad's funeral. You want to talk about one of the worst, last places that you think you could find humor? You could find humor anywhere. In the book, I talk about a family that their daughter was diagnosed with cancer at 3 years old, and she battled for 5 years and 1 day, and unfortunately lost that battle. She was technically considered a survivor. But I spoke to the father, and he talked about how humor was part of how they coped, and humor was how they got through the tough times. So funny things are everywhere. To answer your question, Maurice, we could all find humor. We just have to be proactive, thoughtful, and deliberate in doing it. That's what makes this philosophy that I call LITSEG unique, interesting, compelling, and practical.
So in that, what is your mission, or or I don't want to go that route. What do you think would be one key takeaway that people should take away today from what LITSEG is about?
These principles are easy, they're applicable, and everyone can do them. So do it today. Do it today. Pick up the book, listen to the podcast, go to my website, find ways to say, you know what? I'm not going to change my whole life. I'm not going to go from who I am today to somebody new tomorrow, but I could take a baby step, a small step to live in a happier life. And it matters, right? It matters a lot. Don't neglect to think about happiness. And in the book, I throw around a lot of statistics that are just mind-blowing in terms of, we as Americans are more unhappy than we've been in the last 50 years. Think about how ridiculous that is, right? We live in, I believe, the greatest time in the evolution of human society, in terms of technology, in terms of advances in medicine, in terms of whatever it is, communication. We live in what I believe is one of, if not the greatest country in the world. And we're more unhappy than we've been in the last half century. Depression rates are skyrocketing. Suicide rates are skyrocketing. Deaths of despair are skyrocketing. Loneliness is skyrocketing. That's horrible. It hurts me personally, and it's part of the mission I'm on, is to get people to think proactively about finding gratefulness, finding happiness, finding positivity. There are so many compelling statistics. Happy, positive people on average live 7.5 years longer. Happy, positive people have a 50% lower risk of Alzheimer's. Positive people have a 77% lower risk of high blood pressure. I mean, I could just keep rattling off stats, put you to sleep. Bottom line is, it matters. It matters. Go out and make a change today.
So in that idea of just changing the mindset, how does that better the culture that you experience at work, whether you're an employee or a CEO? How does that even change the culture in that?
Oh, it matters so much. So as I mentioned before, I'm chairman and CEO of a public real estate company called Invest. We've been awarded 4 years in a row now, one of the best places to work in the state that we operate in. And by the way, that award comes as a result of surveys by the employees. So we empower employees. We give them positive opportunities. We give them positive workplaces. We give them flexibility. We give them, it's not about just benefits and pay. It's about giving them a place where they belong, giving them a place where they have interactions and people they want to be with. It's about providing career opportunities where I bring all the principles, the funny things are everywhere, the minutes matter, the attitude is everything. I bring that to the workplace, and it perpetuates through our culture. I think it matters a lot. And by the way, I didn't even go into the statistics, but positive workplaces have significantly lower absenteeism, significantly higher profitability, significantly higher ROI on investments. All these stats I have in the book are up on my website. It matters.
Wow. Scott, man, I appreciate you coming on today, man. You've given us a lot of food for thought, to be honest.
That's my goal. I'm on a mission to make the world happier, one smile at a time. And if just one of your listeners smiles one extra time today, I've succeeded, and I feel great about that. And I'd love to spread this message globally.
So please share, where they can find you, where they can purchase your book, your social media, anything.
Sure. Look, the easiest thing is to check out my website, lifeistooshortguy.com. It's that simple. Lifeistooshortguy.com. It gives you links to the book. It gives you links to my speaking. I'm out doing a lot of speaking right now. So if your organization, your conference is looking for a speaker to hear about this is the kind of stuff everyone can resonate with, whether it's a nonprofit, a school, a business organization. Who doesn't want to be happier? So doing a lot of speaking, doing a lot of, I have a newsletter you could sign up for on the website. It's all at lifeistooshortguy.com.
All right, Scott, thank you very much, man, for coming on. All the information will be in the description of the show. But before I let you go, my final thing I ask every guest, my would you rather question. Would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
Wow, great question. I'm going to go with 3 doors for greater optionality and greater flexibility. As I understand this, I have 3 options versus 2. That's how I understood the question.
Yes.
Fork in the road, 2 options, 3 options. For me, it's always about creating greater optionality and flexibility in life, right? People end up in situations, relationships, business situations that they're just not happy with. Create more opportunities, create more flexibility, create a mindset of pivot, restart, change, find your goal, find your mission, find your happiness. I'd rather have 3 options instead of 2.
Wow, Scott, thank you very much. It's funny because most people recently have been picking the fork in the road. People want to peek down.
Take a chance. They don't want to take a chance. Take a chance. Take a chance and get it done today. That's one of the principles, Maurice. You led me right there. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Scott, thank you very much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you very much. And everyone, continue to listen to That Will Never Work podcast.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.